Every day there's a new story, a new headline about conflict somewhere in the world, and many times U.S. forces are called in. Most often, it's the U.S. Navy. And aboard those Navy ships, thousands of American servicemen, some from right here in western New York, are on the front line of trouble. As Jackie Walker found out, theirs is a demanding and a very dangerous job. Jackie?
Bob, photographer Mike Mombre and I flew to the USS Carl Vinson off the California coast to meet the men who are working in defense of America. The Vinson is an aircraft carrier, one of just 14 in the U.S. fleet. We got a rare view of a mighty warship.
Carrier is the most concentrated and portable form of conventional military power that exists anywhere on Earth.
The 2-3 hours we get in the plane a day is real exciting, and to have the ability to go out and defend the great nation that we have.
Mostly I miss my family, my friends, most of the people I went through high school with.
This is life aboard the USS Carl Vinson, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier that flies the American flag in the face of trouble around the globe. Day and night, it serves as a massive portable airfield for our country's most sophisticated flying machines and their missiles.
It can take its 90 aircraft and move 900 miles a day and operate anywhere near on the Earth's oceans without anyone's permission.
But even far from conflict, in the calm of a Pacific sunrise off the California coast, the men of the USS Carl Vinson are training for battle. They train by catapulting aircraft from the flight deck more than 100 times a day, and by landing them safely again just 30 seconds apart. And they train for any possible disaster aboard ship. The nearly 6,000 men who populate the Vinson are for the most part only teenagers. Their average age is 19, and now they must routinely react to life and death circumstances.
Background, we need another man on host team 5.
Occasionally, though, there is relief from their preparation for war. The men, after all, live on the Vinson for weeks and months at a time. They do get a daily newspaper printed on ship, and there is limited TV service that includes programs produced by journalist sailors. But mealtime can mean a long wait in line to get to a galley that serves up 20,000 meals a day. And nobody confuses this with home cooking. How's the food?
Can I swear? Yeah, you gotta catch it before it runs away.
It's an old complaint aboard one of the most modern warships in the world. The men here share a proud but hard life. In defense of America, they leave behind family, friends, and all that is familiar to them.
I miss going to the Buffalo Sabres games and the Buffalo Bills games. That's what I miss.
Tomorrow night, we'll meet the men of western New York aboard the USS Carl Vinson. And on Friday, we'll meet the pilots who make those thrilling takeoffs and landings from the carrier deck there.
Thrilling is one way to put it. This is a huge operation that they're dealing with, isn't it?
It's huge. They talk of it as a floating city. It's just that. It's 6,000 men moving about for days and months at a time.
How long is a tour of duty normally?
Well, they're about to go out for 6 months.
Oh, that is a long time away from home.
We'll meet our western New Yorkers tomorrow night.
When the United States wants to flex its muscles and show its military might around the globe, who answers the call? Well, it just might be the 6,000 men of the USS Carl Vinson, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. And as Jackie Walker found out, among those 6,000 are plenty of western New Yorkers. Jackie?
Bob, there are several western New Yorkers working right now aboard the Vinson in defense of America. Last night, photographer Mike Mombre and I showed you this massive warship. Tonight, meet our men from home who help make it strong. The USS Carl Vinson blends high technology with high excitement every time the carrier is put to the test. But the test of true excitement comes rolling atop a little four-wheeled cart. It's called Mail from Home.
They ask us all the time when we check in on the radio, how much mail have you got? And they love it when we come back and tell them, well, we carry 1,300 pounds of mail.
Lieutenant Terry Tuggle, with family in Fredonia, is the man who flies the mail out to the ship. As a Navy pilot, he makes those heart-pounding landings and takeoffs from the Vinson's flight deck. Now, even when the planes aren't flying here, the flight deck of the USS Carl Vinson is a tremendously busy place. Maintenance goes on here round the clock. And one of the men who maintains these multi-million-dollar fighter jets is 20-year-old Jim Pajak of Lackawanna. Jim is called a plane captain, and with jets being tested and turning around him on the flight deck all day, his is a dangerous job.
The intakes are about the most dangerous thing. Jet blast. Seen a few people get killed up here, and it's not a pretty sight.
With safety such a concern on the flight deck, the Navy has strict rules here. Nothing moves unless this man says so. He's called the handler, and he studied at St. Bonaventure.
You got to have about 10 mouths and 5 hands.
And you have all those.
I try to.
Commander Smith's job puts him in contact with many of the men on the ship, including the operator of this giant aircraft elevator, Sean Noonan from Lockport.
On the hangar deck, all squadron personnel.
21-year-old Sean is a sailor for now who wants to be a commercial artist. He says the hardest part of serving aboard the Vincent is being away from his family. Well, that problem eased a bit for Lieutenant Pat Carroll of Salamanca when his younger brother Mike showed up to serve on the Vincent with him.
I didn't even know he was joining, and then when we arrived back in the Bay Area in January, there he was waiting for the ship. So it's kind of a surprise to me.
Now, far from the southern tier, Mike and Pat find themselves together in Navy service. The Western New Yorkers aboard the Carl Vinson each travel different paths to this carrier, which will take them to the far side of the world in defense of America. But they all carry with them fond thoughts of home.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Beth, Brian, Eric, and Jenny. I miss you all.
It's been a while now, but I'll be back next year, hopefully.
Hi, Mom. Wish you could be out here and enjoy the sunshine. Sorry you're having to shovel snow.
Tomorrow night, the thrilling ride of the Vincent's fighter pilots.
We refer to it as a double E ride in Disneyland, and that's exactly what it is.
Well, you met some of our Western New Yorkers aboard ship there. I want to make it clear, though, there are several others. I've had several calls from some proud Navy mothers. The Navy only allowed us 24 hours on the ship, so it was impossible for us to get to everybody.
And especially out of 6,000 people.
Tomorrow night we'll go flying.
From bombing raids on Beirut to air attacks on Libyan jet fighters, U.S. Navy pilots are called out to carry out dangerous missions all around the globe. And many times they'll be flying those missions from the deck of an aircraft carrier. Jackie Walker shows us how it works as she wraps up her special report. Jackie.
Well, Bob, when photographer Mike Mombre and I flew aboard the USS Carl Vinson, we experienced the thrilling and frightening sensation of landing on an aircraft carrier. But that's something Navy pilots do every day in defense of America. They told me they do it because they love their country and they love to fly. It's been called the most dangerous job in the world. The Navy's fighter pilots are on the front line in America's battle to keep the peace.
Preparedness, readiness, we exist just in case we're needed.
What really sets Navy flyers apart is their ability to fly from an aircraft carrier, where any misjudgment can send them slamming into the ocean or spinning to a fiery death on the carrier deck.
We accept that fact, and we don't get the excitement without the danger part, though.
If we can get him and then get out of the fight clean, that's great.
This is the pilot ready room on the USS Carl Vinson, where each day's flight plans are spelled out. In minutes, these men will be airborne, flying exercises designed to train them for any encounter with an enemy. The pilot's dangerous mission begins when his jet is locked into a steam catapult. Like firing a giant slingshot, it launches him off the carrier deck.
You're basically immobile at that point. You're just along for the ride. At the end of the carrier, when the catapult lets go of the airplane, it just gets real smooth, and finally you're flying the jet again.
The return trip, the landing, is even tougher. Slamming 40 tons of machinery onto a moving target has been called a controlled crash. A cable yanks the jet from 150 miles an hour to a dead stop in seconds. There are 4 cables like this stretched across the flight deck, and a pilot hopes that he hooks one of them. That hook drops down from the tail of the aircraft and snags the cable if the approach is near perfect.
You don't really become aware of the fact that you're landing until you actually hit the deck and there's a lot of noise and several things that you're doing at the same time, and then suddenly you're stopped.
This is truly life on the edge. Every time the Vinson heads to sea on an extended cruise, there's a good chance a pilot or a crew member will be killed. It's the sacrifice our nation asks to preserve the way of life we treasure. Part of the price these men are paying in defense of America. Something for us all
What a
to
thrill
think
to fly,
about.
huh?
Was a thrill. A brief footnote, Mike and I on the takeoff and landing. The landing wasn't as bad as we expected, although here we are, me looking brave and Mike looking frightened. Some of our equipment smashed on impact, but the takeoff was a real thrill, like the greatest amusement park ride you've ever been on.
I'll bet you. All right.
Beautifully done, Jackie. Thanks.